Hey everybody, it's Sunday night. It's Blasted or Stash It. We're back from our stashies, recouping, and now we're talking about the books that came out January 1st, which was kind of a light week this week. Not as light as Christmas week, but still definitely fairly light. I think it was only $60 a week for me or something like that, which was super cheap, which is welcomed once in a great while, that's for sure.
Yeah, especially right before the holidays and right after the holidays.
Yeah. First time catching the show, what we do is we read the books that come out on Comic Book Wednesday. Between Wednesday and Sunday, we read them. We talk about them on this show. We blast the books we hate. We stash the books we like or love or cherish, whatever you want to call it. There's multiple ways. If you like what you see, you can support us financially. Go over to Patreon and check out Book of the Month Club, which is something like this: the Greg Horn Black Cat, or the Shannon Mayer. Also have some other examples of books we have given away over this past year. So go check us out. We only have about like 8 patrons, so you definitely have a good chance of winning a pretty solid book there. You can go pick up a t-shirt, show your love on the street, show your street cred, blast the stash it, technical difficulty. I'm drooling all over myself here because these shirts are so tasty. The book and Joe, Drew was wrong about X-Men. Got some giggles on that one last night.
That was funny because we did that back when, and I guess maybe we should have explained it last night. That's back when X-Men, Age of X-Men or something like that came out.
Yeah.
And every week I was just dogging that book. Oh, God, it was so bad.
That was before the Hickman stuff was out now, that's for sure. So, or if you can't support financially, a thumbs up, a share, a like, all that good stuff is definitely appreciated. And we'll go ahead and get into the books for tonight. I'll start off with one tonight. I'll start off with a blast, and that's for sure. And the first one was a blast, but I thought, okay, I'll go ahead and pick up the second one, and that's Joker Harley Quinn, Criminal Insanity. So apparently now, Harley Quinn, we all know her history is a psychiatrist, right? That's where her field of study is. Well, apparently now she's a medical examiner as well, and she can tell where body parts come from. Oh, the body parts, his spine's misaligned here. Oh, there's missing that, and so, oh my God, it's just so god awful because when somebody has a profession, I'm not saying people can't dabble in other areas of expertise, but usually you specialize in one thing. You don't automatically assume, okay, they're a medical examiner just because she's a psychiatrist. Now, I can see where they can use her expertise in the field saying why this person did that, not how they did that, so it's just kind of shitty. I think it's just a miserable book. There is the part when she is talking to her medical examiner friend, and they're sitting there chit-chatting and talking about the victim that's on the table, and all of a sudden their friend's like, how about some Chinese? Just out of the blue. And I'm like, what the hell is that? It was just misplaced. It's just horrible. We do get a backstory of a kid and an abusive father, and kind of backstory on her abuse a little bit too. I think I praised the art a little bit in the last issue. I'm not praising it anymore because it is this kind of art where it's like a photo, and then they turn it into a comic. That's what it looks like to me a lot, and I just don't like that. I'm not saying that there's not artistic abilities you can do that. It's just not, to me, it's not a comic book at that point. So Joker Harley, it's a blast for me. I think I'm going to have my wife read this one and Harleen and talk about it. I think we're going to try to do a podcast on that.
Definitely.
We'll see. But that's my blast. I think my blast of the week. Yeah, that's my turd of the week. Big time, Joe. What about you? What do you got going on?
Let's talk about my turd of the week. First off, I have a question, and I don't care if you're catching this on the rewind or if you're in here live right now, but I want you to kind of think about this trend that I've been noticing, and I don't know why it's happening. It just seems like you said in that book, we're getting a lot of people of sitting around eating and drinking coffee regularly in comic books now with over-exaggerated dialogue that really has no place. It just seems weird. I'm seeing a lot of it in comic books, and I don't know why they're doing that. Like, find me a comic book in the 90s where that was a prevalent thing. Like every independent book is doing it, and we'll talk about it more later as we go through here. But my definite blast of the week is Star Wars #1.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, I'm trashing this book. This picks up right after Empire's Strikes Back, and this happens right after Luke Skywalker gets his hand chopped off. They're in the Millennium Falcon and they're flying off. And there's somebody from the Empire that has created a barrier. So when they're jumping through space time and the MacGuffin device lets them do that, they're setting up like these barricades in space to stop the rebels from coming. So they pop in, and of course, the Millennium Falcon's world renowned or universally renowned. Every general knows about the Millennium Falcon. They know about this ship and how fast it is. And they want to stop the invading rebels, or the rebels trying to get to where they're going, to target one ship with a crew full of people on it. This general is like, yeah, stop everything. We need to get that one ship. And even the crew's kind of like, what? Okay. So that happens in this. And of course, they escape, allowing the rebels to escape into wherever MacGuffin placed that they were going. Lando Calrissian has some of the most cheesiest dialogue in this that I have ever heard. It's just bad. Like, it's constantly, yeah, we can do that, or we can run away and survive. Like, all of his speeches go that route. And I'm just like, what is going on here? Yeah, you betrayed him on Cloud City. I get that. We all seen the movie, right? But that doesn't make him some coward, right? Like, okay, whatever. So yeah, I just wasn't getting this. I just could not get behind this. Luke Skywalker is still traumatized because, you know, his daddy's Darth Vader and his hand's chopped off, but he jumps down on a gunship and starts shooting things too. But he plays a very little role in this, like, so small. And I'm just like, oh, this is just, it's cringy. It's just, as I was reading it, I was just like, why is this happening? What? And I love this last theme thing that happens towards the end. So the female general fails on her mission, of course. So she does a little hologram telephone call to Lord Vader, and Lord Vader's like, failure is not an option, and blah, blah, blah. So next time, remember that, right? Whatever it is, I'm paraphrasing here.
Mm-hmm.
We literally have seen in movies where Darth Vader so much just choked somebody because they were thinking against him and slam it in. You know, this person gets a bypass, you know, because, you know, we need her. It furthers the script. We're reminded that Luke Skywalker is powerful because he can break some glass with his thoughts. But that's it. And then we get left with this ominous statement with Luke Skywalker there saying, "What am I supposed to be?" We already know. Like, this we already know the ending of this story. Why does this exist? Like, shouldn't this pick up like those years where after Return of the Jedi, you know, where, you know, like before Kylo and all them weird things started happening. Right after there, like, what made him go to the island? What are the Knights of Ren? We didn't see much of those in the movie. You have so much different time space that you can deal with that you picked up the thing that we already know how it ends. Like, what? So yeah, this is poor decision making and a blast on my end. And also, whoever edits this, they need to do a better job, because the dialogue in here just doesn't match the art in it. It's bad.
You're talking about the dialogue. We talked about a little bit in the off air. R2, they spell it AR2TOO. I think that's what they do. And I'm like,
yeah, they do an
what?
ARTOO.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's not a real name. It's an identification. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Hey, Discovery Bay, what's going on? Thanks for swinging in, man.
Yeah. So I agree with you. I mean, we know how the story ends. And so having this big moment with this character about, like, am I evil? Is this anger overcoming me? That's ridiculous. It's stupid. It doesn't make a point. Like, it should be after Return of the Jedi and having that story along there versus having this one in between. I just think it's absolutely ridiculous. because I don't know how long of a time frame, but it actually is between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Not too long. I mean, they kind of covered in the movie too. Luke gets his hand back pretty quick.
Yeah,
but here he's dealing without a hand for the whole issue.
Yeah, and even this, we can determine that it's not that much of a long time because this moment they land in the ship, their first discussion, long, way too exaggerated discussion, is we need to go get Han Solo. He went to Jabba the Hutt's place. We need to go there. Like they already know where to go. It's like, okay.
So yeah, this unfortunately is a blast for me too. I normally don't pick up Star Wars book. It was just the number one this week, and we didn't have a whole lot to read, so I decided, okay, I'll go out and pick it up.
Well, Discovery Day says that he enjoyed the story, and by all means, to each their own. Yeah. I just found it to be like I just couldn't get behind it, but I can see where, like, because I'm not a diehard Star Wars fan. Like I watched the movies when I was a kid. I passively remember some of the scenes in it. I had some of the figures. I think I even read some of the old comic books. But I'm not a huge fan, so I didn't want to read a story I already know the ending to. I kind of expected something different. I didn't get that. I will say one thing. I did like this cover. It was pretty funny, especially if you get the reference with the bunny Skywalker there in the back. That was great.
Yeah, I don't get that reference.
So it says that boy is our last hope. And of course, Yoda says, no, there is another. And you have the Bucky Skywalker. It was a comic book thing that came out for a while when they were taking like animal cartoons and they were making them Star Wars.
Oh,
Marvel, DC, they were using animals to do it. Spider-Ham came from that.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So it's like, it's not you. Yeah. I thought that was funny.
Oh, he's thinking, oh, I'm that other one.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. This was just, yeah, I didn't like it at all. I was hoping for something more. I didn't know when I first bought it either that it was between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. I had no clue. So I was like, oh, okay. Then I read it. I'm like, wait a minute.
I would probably go along with this, and this is, I think, where Discovery Bay might be going along. He always wanted to know what happened in that in between time.
Yeah,
I would probably say if there was any plot holes that need to be explained for some reason. But I watched the movie so long ago that I probably don't have a good reference on it. So maybe this is explaining some plot holes that I've forgotten about. But other than that, I can't think of any. So I really don't know.
Okay, I'm going to go on to a stash. And this has been my favorite issue of this miniseries so far. It had some pretty cool, pretty graphic scenes in here. That's Punisher Soviet number 3. This was really good. I mean, now it's not Afghanistan, but talk about topical. You know, with everything else going on right now.
Yeah.
In the war realm. This flashbacks to, this is his essentially Russian counterpart, the guy he meets that everybody thinks he's the Punisher, killing all these Russian mobsters. We find out it's this Russian guy. He's flashing back and talking about his time in is it in Afghanistan?
Yeah, it's in Afghanistan. This is during the 80s of Russia invasion of Afghanistan, and during that time, the U.S. was supplying Stinger missiles to the what we call now Al Qaeda.
Yeah. So where's Rambo? He's supposed to be in there somewhere.
Right? Where's Rambo?
But this is a pretty graphic tale of war. And it talks about his platoon getting ambushed and how he's essentially like the only one left, and what they do essentially to his comrades after they had staked him to a freaking tree with a knife and skin his comrades alive and had them laying there, and they're still alive and they're squirming. They're talking and talk about some PTSD shit going on. But this was a great story, a backstory into this character, I thought. And then at the very end, we find out that this guy, after he gets back from the war, he's sitting to drink. He's talking about PTSD issues after the war, talking about trying to have a family, trying to have all this stuff, but it's just not quite working for him. So he ends up drinking some, going to a bar, and he ends up talking about this guy talking about setting up crime, and he says, or setting up. But he recognized this guy from newspaper he thought was supposed to be dead. This guy that committed all these horrific crimes.
Right. He was the jerk that kind of ran the base, the Russian base at the time, the colonel.
Yeah. So, which that kind of triggers him into becoming like the Russian Punisher, I think, to some degree at that point. He's just kind of like, okay, I'm going to take this guy down. But this was great. This was I mean, it had some historical aspects to it with Russia and Afghanistan. Not that I felt like I was right there, but it was pretty. I mean, it put you right in the middle of what was going on, and you felt like you were there. So this was actually a stash for me. This is one of my picks of the week. Punisher Soviet number 3. What about you, Joe?
Yeah, I was. When I started reading this, I was scared. I was like, oh my goodness, they're still talking at the docks, right? Because this is the second issue where they're just chatting it up on the docks. Punisher, and I want to say it's Bavoshkits, I think is how his last name is said. I need to run it through Google Translator. I thought I had it. I'm messing it up. But anyway, our Russian guy, our Russian Punisher is what we'll call him. I really enjoyed this issue, and I went kind of deep into this issue on my channel. First off, yeah, the horrific scene, right, of skinning your comrades, that panel that I showed right here. I mean, I was like, that's straight out of a horror comic. And then sitting there and having to listen to him squirm and scream all night long, and just that look of desperation and screaming all night about it. That's got to be just tearing apart the mind, right? I mean, anybody that watched that, and you kind of did get a couple little goosebumps off of that. I mean, just imagining something like that. Oh no. Right? And then of course him having to deal with that when he gets home. He even says in it, he started a family and he keeps his drinking from his family. So he like hangs out with his family or whatever, and then goes drinking, comes home drunk late at night, goes to bed, and kind of separates the two. I actually hear that kind of stuff from veterans a lot, that when they first get out, that's especially if they've been through something traumatic. So I've heard this before. So I was like, oh, okay. All right. Somebody's done a little homework. What I found most interesting about this, and I'm going to go kind of off the rails a little bit. The reason why I really like this is because this is a good example of how two veterans should communicate. Normally what happens is when a veteran starts telling something from his past, the other guy's like, oh yeah, well, that's nothing I did, blah, 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 right? And that's just horrible, right? Sometimes you just need to shut up and listen, right? You don't have to have an answer for everything. And I really like the Punisher's character in this because he only speaks absolutely when he's directed to answer something or say something. And he's just listening to this guy tell his story of why he's doing what he's doing now, because it's connected to this and all this other stuff really happened. I really like this, like two soldiers just really trying to figure this out together to make sure that they can, one, trust each other, and two, that there's some legitimacy behind this guy. I thought that was very genuine for a comic book. And again, I'm talking from a frame of reference that I get a lot of people don't probably deal with, but I really enjoy this, and I thought this was great. But all in all, it's just a great comic book too. It's great storytelling, and I really enjoyed this. And I'm definitely going to be picking up issue 2. It almost made my stash of the week, but an actual superhero comic book made it instead.
Again, too, like if anybody who is watching the show live right now, or you're catching the rewind, let us know below in the chat or in the comments right here what you thought of the books. Did you read it? Let us know in the chat. Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, definitely. Keep us informed.
Yeah.
Did you pick that, or did I pick that?
I did. I picked that one.
Oh, I got to pick something now.
Yeah, you got to pick something.
Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about this. All right. So Justice League Dark. I've been enjoying this. I've made no bones about it. It's good storytelling from a more of a fantastic storytelling sense. In this one, Cersei and her army are moving forward to kind of take over the basement of the Hall of Justice. And this is where things get kind of hinky, because they actually awaken if you've been reading the comic book, there's a skeleton of a dragon in there. We find out who that dragon actually is now. This whole time it's just been some random skeleton, but it's actually something that can be brought back to life through some spell or magical voodoo. It's actually Dracul Carafang, which is related to Fing Fang Foom. I had looked that up on Wikipedia.
But Fing Fang Foom is now is Fing Fang Foom a real character, not just a Marvel character?
No, Fing Fang Foom is a Marvel character, but this is the DC version of it. So I don't mean related in a direct sense.
Okay, gotcha.
Kind of their version of it.
Okay,
because if you read the character's backstory, it reads just like Fing Fang Foom.
Okay.
Okay. That was really cool. I really like Cersei's little army in this. It looks like we're going to be getting a new Dr. Fate, and it's actually going to be the boy apprentice that's been hanging out with Dr. Fate lately. That's kind of cool. So the next issue may be I don't know if you want to call it a first appearance, because technically we've already seen the boy and we know who Dr. Fate is, but the first appearance of them merging together in the next issue. Bobo, Detective Chimp, is still in his primate stage. Man-Bat is still knocked out from his from being changed into a bad guy, and Eclipso is constantly licking at the crystal to get out of it. I love some of the imagery in this. They actually show him he's so hungry for the power around him. The interesting thing that happened in this is in the Magic Collective, I guess is what they call it in this place, where Wonder Woman is stuck right now. The Upside Down Man comes and makes a deal with her. And the way she kind of made the deal is I really like this too. She kind of pointed out that he's not whole, right? He's upside down, but he's actually a part of Cersei in some way, like all the bad parts of Cersei. And of course, the Upside Down Man wants to eat the world. So she kind of makes this deal with him, like, I can go back and take care of the Cersei thing that's going on right now, right? But I need your help to get there. In order to do that, then you'll be made whole, and then you can actually enter our realm more easily. Now, this is obviously a double-edged sword, right? Making a bad decision to get the greater good going. I always like those kind of conflicts in a comic book because they're extremely complicated. And I think they're doing a really good job of breaking it down in this one to kind of show that making this one decision and then dealing with the real issue later, we can do that. How will that turn out? I don't know, but I really, as I mentioned, my new characters of the year were the other kind, which is the Upside Down Man's kind of crew, if you will. So maybe we'll be getting some more of that. I really hope so, because they're really kind of creepy and spooky, and I want some more of them. So I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, Justice League Dark number 18 is definitely a stash for me.
Yeah, they really underutilized Upside Down Man and that whole crew. So like they got introduced, all of a sudden, bam, they're gone. They weren't doing anything.
They did the same thing with Kindred over in Amazing Spider-Man too. Like the very first issue, they show them, and then like every eighth issue, they kind of bring them around, and it's like, God, okay,
yeah. I still pick them up, but I'm still 2 issues behind, I think, on Justice League Dark, so I haven't read them. I got to get caught up. I'm gonna talk about this one. This is Spider-Man Venom Double Trouble number 3. The first 2 I really enjoyed. It had kind of a fun vibe. Of course, fun art. Very youth vibe content. Venom has a machine where he takes over Peter Parker's body, Spider-Man's body, and puts Spider-Man into Venom's body so Venom wants to win this extreme ninja competition, essentially, to get this weapon so he could dominate the world. Because he can't do it in Venom because they won't give it to a villain. So he has to be Spider-Man. So Peter Parker finally catches up with Venom. And during the process, this Peter Parker ends up stealing the glider from Green Goblin. And he crashes into Spider-Man where he has that, or Venom. Gets confusing because, like I said, they're each in each other's body. But Venom has that new gun that he won from that extreme ninja competition, which creates a chain reaction, and now it puts their consciousness now into a squirrel and a cat. And so now they're chasing each other, trying, and their consciousness, now the cat's consciousness is now in Venom and Peter Parker, right? So it's just, and then finally, like here's a panel here when the cats and the squirrel. They're trying to fit, they're in their bigger bodies. But at the end of the book, Venom and Peter Parker, who are the squirrel and the cat, get caught by Doc Ock. And now they're in a cage getting ready to be experimented on. And can I say jump the shark? It's kind of hard to say jump the shark, but the whole book really is jump the shark, the whole thing. First 2 issues were great. I thought this is kind of getting too far out there for me, and I think I'm not going to pick up anymore. I think it's only like 5 issues long, but I think I'm going to drop it. I'm not going to. And it was not one that I had on my pull list. It was one like, oh, cool, this is out. I'll grab it. So I don't think I'll be picking up issue 4 on that.
Yeah, I don't think you're the demographic for that comic book, man.
No. Like I said, but it's rated T for teen, which I'm surprised it's not like. It almost reminds me of something like IDW printout for Marvel. And I don't know why it's not like in that youth category and why it's a teen. I don't know. Maybe because it's too violent with Venom flying on the glider. I don't know. But it's a blast.
I'm going to talk about Detective Comics number 1018. This was a super cool comic book with the introduction of, I believe, a new character. I don't know. We'll see if they ever name the character. But basically, we got a Viking in this who loves to do his pagan ancient rituals, and he does. And he splits and cuts bodies, and he decorates a tree with them. In the beginning, you see this hand like with a tomahawk just chopping, and then you find out he's chopping into a skull.
Wow.
Yeah, it's so cool. All right. And then we find out that this is a Viking, and he's actually celebrating Jolabolt. Jolabolt, if you don't know, is a pagan holiday that Christmas is actually based off of. The whole decoration of trees and all of that. It's the pagan version of it, or what Christians took over to make it, whatever the case may be, however you want to look at that. Mm-hmm. So Jolabolt is an actual thing. You can look it up. So because I did, usually a sacrifice of the midwinter. You're looking for closeness, not only of the gods, but also of your own personal path. This is Viking in nature and Icelandic religions under various pagan rule, which means all these wild religions, not just paganism itself as we see it today. And all this is, of course, seen as justified. So the world's greatest detectives trying to figure this one out. Working with the police, trying to figure this whole thing out. But he's got this thing he's got to go do, charity fundraiser as Bruce Wayne, where he's got to get all dressed up and speak, and he shows up a little bit late or whatever. And we end with the Viking jumping out of, at him with his axe in hand, screaming Jolabolt. So apparently he's still practicing whatever this is. He's still practicing it. I really like the detective end of it, and then I kind of like the obscurity of a pagan ritualistic murder, I guess, being involved in it, but without us getting too deep into the history and all of that. So this is definitely a stash for me. I'm definitely picking up the next issue just to kind of follow along with this. Is this a new character? I don't know. I would have to, once I get the name of the character, I'll research it. But all in all, I thought it was a fun read. It's definitely interesting. And I definitely want to see where this goes. So, Detective Comics, 1018, hard stash for me. Also, Mango Bed. How do we decide?
Mango Bed?
Mango Bay?
Yeah.
What's going on, brother? It's good to have you in here. Definitely what comic books you read this week.
Before we move on to my next book, according to Key Issue Comics, that app, I don't know if you go on there at all, they say the first appearance of Pagan Spirit.
Yeah,
that's what the character's name is, I guess.
I guess so, until they get a name. Yeah, I guess so.
Maybe they're based on that because it's a pagan holiday and doing that. Merry Christmas. Yeah, let me cleave you in two.
Right.
So I'm going to talk about, if I can remember a lot of it, Thor #1, but Donny Cates taking over Thor book. There's some great stuff in here. I love the first part of it when it shows Mjolnir flying through all the 7 realms, and people are like, oh, we know what's going on. And he's kind of almost makes it seem like he's showing his dominance over the 7 realms. And people realize this Mjolnir going through. And you can see a shot of New York, and it's burning. It's coming in like a freaking comet. And then the Avengers are there fighting this big monster, and it just blows right through his head. and Cap and Iron Man are there, like, oh, hey, what the? Oh, maybe have a Sharpie, and then freaking Tony Stark puts a little note on the side of Hammer. But we find out the Thor's still in Asgard. He threw his hammer because he knew the Avengers needed help, so he threw it across the 7 realms into New York to kill the monster, just to just get it back. And then Tony leaves him a nice little Sharpie note on the side of Mjolnir, says, "Nice shot, enjoy your retirement." So what we get basically is Thor is king now, and he's almost kind of bored with it, I think. And he just is like, man, I that's what I got from it.
Much like Loki was when he became a king too.
Yeah. So they're like, there's no more action anymore, nothing going on. And then we find out like Loki comes in, and they're kind of arguing back and forth. And then we find out that Galactus crashes into Asgard, which is kind of crazy. Thor jumps in to dispatch of Galactus, but Galactus asks him to stop. He's talking about the Star Plague, talking about something essentially destroying the universe, and kind of asking for Thor's help. But we also get Silver Surfer Black, Cosmic Ghost Rider in here as well.
You get all the heralds of Galactus.
All the heralds. But we end up finding out that Galactus I think has another kind of use for Thor, because I think he's kind of lied to Thor about why he was there, and he turns essentially Thor into the god, or herald of thunder. That's what it is. So now we get the Fabio Thor, the younger version of Thor. Now he's kind of like the herald of Galactus, the new one. So as I talked about last night in the Stashies, how Donny Cates is taking all these different stories and wrapping them all together. We got Cosmic Ghost Rider created Silver Surfer Black. Now he's moving into the herald of Galactus as Thor. But this was good. This was really good. Funny parts in there, good art, but definitely a stash for me. They had some other great covers, but I wasn't going to pay for them. That's for sure.
Well, don't worry.
Did you get some covers?
Vicariously through me, because I got the one per store variant.
Oh, really?
I got it for a pretty good price too. So yeah, I'm digging this, because Thor's like, he's been a god, he's been a king, he's been unworthy, he's been worthy. What hasn't he been? A herald of Galactus, which, any other time there's been a herald, they put this immense power over them that allows them just to prep worlds to be eaten or whatever. I like this. This is, I'm not a huge Thor fan by nature. I don't read a lot of Thor, mostly because I find the dialogue, Thor's dialogue, to be kind of annoying and pretentious, because it's not Viking, right? It's not North Atlantic. It's Shakespearean. Mm-hmm. It's two very different places. So I don't really get into it. But this I will get into. I love the Heralds of Galactus being part of this. I like this major threat, because they mentioned in it where Galactus eats worlds, this star storm or whatever, it actually eats reality. So now we get a play on cosmic reality and how that works. Okay, I'm on board for that. Let's see where this takes us. I just thought this was really great. Let's see. Double S just jumped in the room. What's going on? He says, what up to Huey and Joey, a.k.a. the Donny Cates character of Thor and Silver Surfer. Nice. So, yeah, I thought this particular issue, this is the kind of Thor that I want to read. I like the fact that you saw memory and thought in it. The two scarecrows. I thought that was, or ravens. They're ravens. Or are they scarecrows? I forget. They're two blackbirds.
They're ravens, yeah.
Yeah. I like the play on that he owns those now, because I've been out of Thor for a while. So you still get some of that Norse mythology into it. We get this great cosmic play into it. Donny Cates, there's only a handful of people that can pull this kind of thing off. And I think Donny Cates is definitely that guy. He's definitely got some sort of vision with an end game to it. You can tell by the writing in it. I'm excited for this. Next comment. I'm behind on my reading. I just read Curse of the White Knight #5. That was pretty good. Only picked up Daredevil 16 and Everything #5 this week. You got Everything, didn't you?
Uh-uh.
Okay. And both are usually good reads. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Now, there's also a decision in this Thor book too. They talk about Galactus being weak and needs to eat a planet. Don't they have to kind of decide? Okay, we need to give him his healthy again, so we have to choose what planet we want him to eat. I think that's part of that story too.
Yeah, they something's got to get sacrificed.
Yep.
Again, another one of those bad decisions for a greater good.
Yep. So I brought up Thor. What do you got, Joe?
Oh, I don't know. Let's talk about some silliness. We've said a lot of good things about books. See, I want to talk about these two books, and that's X-Men, and I want to talk about Marauders. I want to talk about them both at the same time because they're both the same book. And again, I go back to that. What is it in comic books where everybody's sitting down eating, having very long dialogues?
Yeah, I was wondering if that was going to come back into play.
That happens with both of these. Now, look, I'm not bashing these books, but I'm not going to give them the praise that everybody else has been giving these two books. If you want to see the stuff that happens in X-Men in real life, you can watch that on C-SPAN. It's trade and terrorists. That's it. It's not really that interesting to me. The 6 panels of action in it were pretty cool. I love the fact Gorgon's back. I love me some Gorgon as a character. That was really cool. But to sit around and explain your country and how it's pretty much just going to railroad everybody, that's not negotiations. Those are threats. So again, I don't know how that's going to work out. And then Marauders is nothing more than that. We're black market criminals, and we're going to do it whether you like it or not. So I get it. It's interesting reading, right? I'm not saying that, but when I read it, I try to take myself out of, the world and how the world works, and understanding that every new nation that has ever started has always relied on black marketing to get its economics up quick, fast, and in a hurry. So I understand that as well. But these somebody even said they're not political. Yes, they are political. Both of these are political. It's just the boring stuff in politics. And they just put it in a comic book and made it interesting. Threw a little bit of action in there. Both of them have very little action going on in them. But I have to review these together because it's really the same story. Right?
I mean, they're all kind of what they're going for, and how they're building their country, Kokea. We do get, was it Hate Monger? Is that who that is at the very last panel of Marauders?
See, I was wondering that too. Is that Hate Monger? I don't know. I want to say it is because there's an H on his shirt, but I have the first appearance of Hate Monger. I have 3 of them, actually. I don't know. Maybe?
I don't know who the other guy is.
And who's the other character? And we're talking about the end of Marauders. Yeah. I don't know. Well, I guess we'll find out the next issue because it's one of the few action scenes in it.
So if I have to choose between these two, or you have to choose, which one's better of these two? Which one did you like better?
Right now, I think I'm enjoying Marauders more because I really like to see this kind of reimagining of Katie Pride or Cat Pride. I'm really enjoying that. I like the pirate aspect that they're kind of throwing into this. I like the power struggle of how basically the Indian Trading Company, the Hellfire Club works. And I like these new villains too. The Hombres Verde, which is Latin for man groans. I looked that up.
Not man green man.
No. So that was pretty interesting. I'm enjoying that. And that's not to say that X-Men's bad. If you had to choose, right? So I'm choosing Marauders. I like what Hickman's doing with both of these. And I like the fact that he's disguising boring politics in a comic book. That's what he's doing. He's dressing up boring politics in a comic book.
Oh, what I liked about, I think I prefer X-Men over Marauders this week. And what I liked about it, like I said, it is politics. But if you think about how would that actually change the world dynamics of this sovereign country all of a sudden appearing and saying, "Nope, we're our own person. You can't control us." And they're going in there and saying, "No, we're not going to use violence. We're gonna screw your economy up, and we're gonna buy everything that you own, and you're gonna be screwed." Essentially, that's what they're doing.
Yeah, but see, the problem that I'm having with that is okay, you got this very much sought after drug.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to interrupt, but this is my kind of hang up with it. So there's this drug. It makes you live longer, makes you better. It's what everybody claims CBD does, right? Okay,
I guess, yeah.
It's CBD that's going out there. Fine, and you make a lot of money off of it. Okay, great. For you to actually continue with that plan that you have based off of one drug, yeah, no. No.
to kind of sidetrack a little bit, I always find it funny. Like they're always in the grocery line, like right when you go check out, they have the 5-hour energy, right? You know, little things up there. Stay awake longer, get more work done, have more energy. They said the same thing about cocaine in the 1920s. You know, so that always cracks me up. It's like, 100 years from now, we're gonna look back, the 5-hour energy, that stuff is,
I actually have, again, to get further down this rabbit hole, I have a comic book from a long time ago where they're actually advertising a toothache medicine in it, and its main ingredient is cocaine.
Oh, really? That's like classic in itself, just for that ad. The one scene I did like in here, so there's this militia or this group that's going to go in and kill Xavier, and Xavier explained, "You've already tried to kill me once. You're going to try to do it again." And that's why you have your army or your military guys on the floor above us and floor down, below us. But they end up giving themselves away, and Xavier's able to detect them, so he sends Cyclops and the other guy I don't know. Who's the other guy?
Gorgon.
Gorgon. I do like the scene when Cyclops is fighting those guys off, and this is a little help, please. And it Magneto's right in the middle of a conversation. He stops, boop, like rips the gun out of the one military guy's arm, which I thought was cool. But yeah, this is, I think it's interesting. It's not what I want to see out of my X-Men book. I want to see Wolverine going and tearing stuff up. I want to see team dynamics and defeating the bad guy, not a political
Bilderberger conference.
Yeah. So it's
G5 summit.
Yeah. So I mean, it's interesting, but not what I want out of a superhero comic. So, but X-Men, I think, is of those two books it's better. Okay, I'm gonna talk about another independent book. After this, I've only got one left, and we're not gonna even have nothing for lightning round tonight because it was such a small week. This is I Can Sell You a Body. So this is okay. I'm flipping through it. I'm just trying to get a quick refresher on it. You can already tell from the front, this is a millennial with a man bun. I think that's about all you need to know from this book. He is a guy that can essentially talk to the dead. And like at the very beginning here, he's talking up to this hot dog vendor. He goes, I think he just wants a dog. But the guy says, no, I can't give you just a dog. I gave you a bun too. Is if I'm do that, I'm short. But he ended up looking into this guy's like a dead relative and finding information about him to kind of blackmail him and to give him just a freaking dog or whatever. But we find out too, he has his clientele. He's able to talk to their dead relatives and make them feel close and good. But we find out too, though, he has money problem. He borrowed money from these people trying to get a body for this mobster's family. He's not doing it. He can't quite connect with the mobster in the afterlife. And so they're threatening to kill him. So I don't know, called the reverse exorcism. So that's what he does. He pulls the ghost spirit into a living body. He tries it with his secretary, the old lady who he hasn't paid ever. So he tries to essentially use her body to pull the spirit into, but he fails. But did he fail? That's the thing. We don't know if it's a fail or if it's because what happens at the end is she turned into like this zombie ghoul, naked old lady running through the house, with her husband. So I think that's where it's going to go to. It's like, I don't know if it's more of like a zombie tale or what this is, but it's just garbage. I don't like it. He has a millennial I said man bun, and I think that's where I'm gonna draw the end on it. Man buns are no good. It's a blast. He meets a girl he falls in love with, but I don't know where it's gonna go. It's just, I can sell you a buy or I can sell you a shit book. I bought the shit book, so it's a blast.
Double S says his favorite part of the Thor comic book, Donny Cates, was when Iron Man asked everybody if they had a Sharpie to send a sign back. I thought that was great too. We mentioned that. It was fun. All right. So I think this was my only one this week, and that's Hawkeye Freefall. This is weird. First, a lot of tropes off of the millennial, like you were saying earlier. A lot of sitting around drinking coffee in this and eating food and talking to each other in this one as well. I don't know. So basically, we have a villain whose name is Robin Hood. Get it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it took him 3 panels to get it in this too. A lot of snarky joking going on in this, especially like head narration type jokes on. A lot of that going on in here. It's not the Hawkeye that you would recognize. Very sarcastic, satirical by nature. He teams up with Bucky or the Winter Soldier, whatever you want to call him, and Falcon in this because Ronan's back, and Hawkeye's trying to explain to him that I'm not Ronan. Like 3 other people have been Ronan. What's going on here? He finally proves he does, and this Hood character is apparently a demon too. We find out because he changes into demon. We find out that courts are boring because Hawkeye goes to them and blah 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 blah. I've already lost interest trying to explain this. I did like some of the jokes. Some of the jokes in this kind of landed. Most of it's observational humor, but other than that, I don't know. If there's nothing else that week, I'll probably pick up issue 2, but I'm not really 100% on board with this yet.
Is that a new title? You said that number 1?
Yep, it's number 1.
Huh. I must have just completely passed right by it. Let's talk about this. We talked a little bit in the off air about this. We were both kind of confused on what in the hell is going on in Tarot number 1. Do we need another almost event book? So this is the Avengers and Defenders coming in to join together to in this book here. Now, I got to say that the first few pages got me intrigued. Here it was. We have the invaders, essentially. World War II, Nazis fighting the Nazis, and they're getting their butt handed to them because this guy has power to change these statues into living beings and attacks the invaders. Well, then all of a sudden, Captain America turns into Captain Hulk, I guess is what you want to call it. And he starts beating the crap and busting the statues up. And then we flash forward to modern times.
Yeah.
And then Namor has this recollection of it, but it's not like it's 100% clear. Captain America doesn't know anything what he's talking about. And then I really start to get really lost in this whole book. I know not Avengers. Vision goes berserk, and the Avengers are there trying to stop him. We got the first appearance of this one character, Isolog. I don't know how to pronounce his name. But I'm really freaking lost in this book. So I know we got Doctor Strange coming in here, and the Isolog guy. So I'm lost with it. I don't think I'm picking up any more of that just because I'm so confused with it. What's going on?
Yeah. Here's what I think's happening. This is the best way to start this off. So in the beginning, the little things you saw on everybody's the statues' foreheads that came to life. He said that he was using a golem. Here's was kind of the weird thing I thought was weird. A golem is it's from Jewish mysticism, right? A golem, there's a certain spell you can paint on a clay figure and it will do your bidding. Why is a Nazi general using Jewish magic? Why is that?
A Nazi general?
Yeah.
Using Jewish magic? Yeah. Huh.
Okay, whatever. And then the whole thing happens. That's still a mystery. And if you skip to where it says, where it talks about Arizona, and you look at the people, they all have that same symbol on their head.
All the people, and not the superheroes.
Right, the people that are being controlled.
Okay.
So what we also know is that Diablo, the villain in this, he uses tarot cards to control people, but he needs to gather so much magic to be able to do it.
Yeah.
So what we find out is that, well, Vision didn't really go haywire. The Avengers, the 4 Avengers that he was fighting, were actually controlled by Diablo at that point. And Vision was trying to stop them, but when our heroes show up in our story, our invaders, Hulk, Doctor Strange, Namor, Valkyrie, and Silver Surfer, when they show up to the situation, they're being told by Captain America and the ones being controlled that Vision's out of control, right? But it's not. It's a flipper and a twist, if you will, right? And then that's when we find out that it's actually Diablo at the end that's kind of controlling them. Diablo's an old character. He's been around since the Silver Ages. He's kind of running it to backstabs everybody. This, of course, gives him more magic. But still, what does that first story have to do with all this? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it will connect somehow in the next issue. That's if I bother getting it. Because like you said, like I had to read this twice before I was like, oh, I get it. Okay. All right. Okay. But that's, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But that's the best sense that I can make out of this.
Yeah, I read it today. I was hoping to read it on my lunch break at work. I didn't get a chance to, so I read it. Usually when I get home, it's like, oh, I'm tired, and I read through it, and I'm like falling asleep. So none of it really sank in. Maybe reading it a second time when I'm wide awake might be a little bit better. But yeah, so I didn't catch the part when I guess the Avengers were essentially being controlled. Are they still controlled at the end when Namor's talking to Captain America when he says the name is unfamiliar to you? The Cap says totally. Likewise, a transformation into something like Hulk-like. It's not something I'd forget. Is that Cap lying to him, or is that Cap being manipulated where he doesn't remember?
That's the mystery.
Okay. Maybe I might give it a second read. Then maybe I won't totally blast it. I mean, but I don't know. Like I said, there's a lot of events and tie-in books that it's like, do we really want to get into another one? So I don't know. That's the last of my books for this week. You have one other. I think you have Delta Dogs.
All right, so I have 3 more.
3. Okay.
I went to the meetup at the brewery, and I saw my boys from Delta Dogs there from Millennial Comics, so I was able to pick up finally issues 7 and 8 here of Delta Dogs. I really love this story. It's just great storytelling. We get the compassion of family, and I don't know how it works in other places, but I know here down in the South, especially in Virginia, like cousins are not distant relatives. So you get that aspect in here a lot, and it's explained to you why, and how much the older cousin really values his family, and now it's time for them to step up and save him under this gang war while they're still trying to figure out how their powers work 100%. So yeah, it's interesting. It's a different take on a lot of how superpowers work. I thought that was really cool. One of the examples would be somebody can manipulate electricity, but they don't like shoot electrical things at you. They actually make solid objects out of the electricity to hit you with. So yeah, it was really cool. That's one, and then one can change density of things. So I thought that was just interesting. And there's like 7 of them. They all have different powers. I definitely go to just do a Google search for Delta Dogs online. Check it out. It's definitely worth the time. It's a good read, and it's not that expensive. Let's see. I'll just do a lightning round. I did Dr. Doom, this got confusing. I don't know if it's Dr. Doom in this or his son that they found in a gutter, homeless guy. And then they're talking about this whole, I will talk about this one. So they're talking about this whole law of dependent arising. And it sounds hinky. That's because it is. It's like a subsect, or no, it's a philosophical view of Buddhism where you deal with bondage and release of oneself and emotions. If that sounds complicated, it's because it is. It's super complicated, and the book doesn't really explain it very well because it doesn't flow very well to begin with. So they talk about this in here a lot, and then we talk about universal mathematics as well. So basically, we're doing this thing where we're doing science and we're doing mysticism, and we're trying to make them forced together with an obscure reference of each other. And that's Mordok. He shows up, and apparently he's the one talking about all the math and the narration. That's what happened in that book. Good luck. Next, we got Action Comics number 1018. We're still talking about who Superman already told that he was going to reveal and who he was before he did the big reveal in this. We also get an origin story of the Red Cloud in this too, and how she got her powers. So an origin story in here. Other than that, the rest of it was just kind of at best. It just, I don't know what's going on here. If they have a great story they can tell. Oh, we also find out that Leviathan said, screw everybody, I'm teaming up with Doom. So now Leviathan and Doom are together under this whole Doom Wars thing. So that adds a little interest to it because Leviathan seemed to have no problems with beating Superman with all their technology and stuff, which is Manhunter technology. So some good stuff in here, but this issue by itself was just kind of lackluster for me. I didn't really get much out of it. Double S says, you are not deep in the South until you're in Texas like me. Joey in all Texas say y'all. Like a karate movie. Y'all. No, it was just more or less the aspect of the South, especially in more rural areas where cousins are a little bit more closer than, say, in some areas of the United States. Really,
we're not talking about kissing cousins, are you?
No, we're talking about like, hey, cousin, this guy did me wrong. Fine, let's go put him in the swamp.
Bowl and Luke Duke.
Like that kind of South.
It's a Bowl Luke Duke, baby. That it? That your lightning round?
Yeah, that's my lightning round. Yep, that's my lightning round. I did some hunting a couple of days ago. I'm going to do a haul video on that.
That's it. We do a few other things coming up. Next Saturday is our auction. We're going to do an auction here. We'll make sure to try to get that out as much as possible. Spread the word. You can get some great books for super cheap. Help us get to Emerald City Comic Con. We're going there in March 12th through the 15th is the con. I think I'm planning on being there 12th through the 14th, leaving on the 15th, leaving that Sunday. So I definitely want to try to get up there and spend as many days as I possibly can. I'll be just driving up there because I live 8 hours south of it, so it's easier just to drive. That way I have my own car doing the whole Uber thing. I will be taking a trip to Texas. I know Double S said he's in Texas. I don't know where you are in Texas, but I'm going to be somewhere between the Dallas and Fort Worth area for, I think, next week for a few days. I was going to try to get a hold of Great Legend. I know he lives down that area as well. It'd be kind of cool to go meet up with a couple people down there. Always nice to hang out with some comic book like-minded people. So we were going to do the giveaway this tonight because it's the 1st of January for the Patreon Book of the Month, but I haven't picked it up yet. I haven't picked it out. So next week we'll definitely have the winner for the December book, and I'll go buy one. And I'll be posting it on Twitter, all that stuff on what the book is. So definitely go over and check us out on Patreon. Right now we only have I just blocked out Joe completely. Steve Ronda, Bob World, Pocan Joe, you're on there. Discovery Bay, Caffeinated Geek, and Comics Misexplained. So out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people, if you join Patreon, you get a good chance of winning a book of the month, something like this here. Sometimes they even give 2 books away. so you double your chances to win. So definitely go over and check out our Patreon as well as our T-shirts and all that fun stuff. So, any last minute things for you, Joe, before we bounce out of here?
Oh, my villains contest. I'm currently running over on my channel. Definitely, you want to go check that out over on my channel. I did it last year. I'm doing it again this year. It seemed to be very popular. I have some great prizes for everybody. I'll go ahead and put the description in the chat for you guys as well. Great time there. Don't forget about our auction next week. We are going to have some great stuff at it. I'm bringing the fire to this one. So definitely. Also, just want to say goodbye to Mangabed 1717. Thanks for coming by. Double S, always a pleasure seeing you, boss. And Discovery Bay, thanks for coming by as well.
Okay, we're going to go out and bounce on out of here. Come by and check us out on Facebook, Twitter, all your favorite social medias. We are all on there. So that's it. Whether you blast it, whether stash it, happy reading. And we'll see you guys on Saturday for the auction. Later. Oh, where's my thing?